Big night, David. Special atmosphere. How did this one rank in terms of the events you've promoted all through your career?
Well, I have to say, I mean, you know, Dublin delivers and then it delivers and it delivers again. I mean, what a fantastic night. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as the 9,000 fans in there and obviously all the people watching on TV. I just thought it was an absolutely incredible night. Hairs on the back of your neck stuff, and you know, I think we see people like big stars, Benson Henderson, MVP, winning some new fans over here, fighting in front of the crowd for the first time. But the night really belonged to the Irish fighters. I think you know, all of them pretty much delivered, if not great fights, but wins. You know, you got Liam McCourt, obviously Keith are there, and then Peter Queally. What a fight! Opening up the TV, obviously in the UK and Ireland. So great to see that fight. I don't know how he pulled that one out the bag at the end. I mean, amazing fight. Just been great effort. And then James was a cherry on the top at the end of the night. Really good.
It's a strong stable of Irish fighters you've got here. We've had one event in Dublin this year. You're going to have 2 events in London by the end of this year. What sort of bandwidth is there to maybe have 2 events in Dublin next year?
Well, we've had 2 events in Dublin this year, so I think, you know, could well be back next year for 1 or 2 events.
Just on that, Dave. Last time you were standing in this arena last February or March or whatever it was, one of the first things you said is we'll be back in September. So the same question: when's the return visit?
Well, you might want to keep your weekends free in February.
Okay.
Would you consider Belfast?
Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely. So Bellator have been there in the past, the SSE, and I think it's a great venue. I think you know, we're open to all opportunities, and I love the idea of going to Belfast. I think, you know, it's hard to argue not to come back to Dublin every now and again. I think, you know, you get a market like this, and we've got the fighters, we've got the roster, so you know, you'll definitely see us back in Dublin and hopefully Belfast in the future.
Dave, MVP was very upset with Dan Murglios's performance tonight, and he's demanding an apology. Are you going to try and mend bridges there and have a chat with them both?
Yeah, I'll speak to the guys. I mean, to be fair, I haven't spoken to either of them yet. I mean, it was clear Dan wasn't up for any showmanship tonight, and maybe it was started off by, you know, I think he was keeping an eye on the fight, wanted to have some respect for the fighters, you know, and what was going on. But you know, out of a night of great fights, I think it was a small little blip. I'll deal with it later.
Yeah, there's a little bit of criticism for obviously the top 2 fights. They were very much one-sided fights, and you know, obviously the main event ended very quickly, and the co-main event one-sided. That's something you kind of look at going forward. Okay, you know, James Gallagher's gone to headline, and they want him as the Irish fighter going forward. But is it something you want to keep in fights at the top of the card going forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's you know, obviously the results are what they are, but I think when you look at certainly the Gallagher fight, I mean, that was a late replacement. I think Cal, as we know, would have been a really tough fight for James. I don't think that was ever going to be an easy fight. Salazar stepped up, and you know, he's a great fighter, a solid fighter. You know, that could have gone either way. I think he was annoyed with himself. He fell into that, and you know, James did an excellent job. But that fight, you know, could have gone completely differently, and certainly maybe even if Cal had been here tonight, we might have seen a longer fight maybe. On the Kylie MVP, I mean, it was an exciting fight. I think everybody felt like that in the arena. MVP was too much for Kylie in the end. That fight was an interesting one. I mean, you know, you're always going to get criticised for that fight. I think it was exciting and interesting. Richie certainly knows how to sell a fight, so it was good fun on the build-up, but I think MVP was just too much for him tonight.
What sort of opponent can we expect for MVP in London, and will he be headlining?
Well, as you know, we've got a fight coming up in 2 weeks' time in Milan. We've got Melvin against Bahai. That's a big night for us. And then we announced Saturday the 23rd of November in London. We've already announced Fabian and Mike Shipman, which will be a hell of a fight. Lots of electricity, I think, already going on for that. But we did say we'd announced a big fight for London. Mike sort of put his name in the hat after the win. Obviously, I don't think it'd be the worst idea to have him fight in London, but we'll have to wait and see. But we'll be announcing a big main event for that fight.
Will it be Paul Daly?
Sorry?
Will it be Paul Daly against MVP?
We'll announce something in the next couple of weeks.
Dave, recently the KSW boss Martin Lewandowski said he approached you guys about maybe doing a bit of cross-promoting. He even tried to make Paul Daly versus Roberto Soldic for one of their shows in London. He's interested in doing that, but what about from your side? Are you interested in that at all?
Look, I mean, you just have to look what Scott Cook has done throughout his career, but certainly even recently with Bellator, we've had you know, the deal we've done with Risen and having co-fights over there. We're always up for that sort of thing. Martin runs a really good operation out in KSW in Poland. He's got some great fighters there and got a huge following. I don't think that will be out of the question going forward. I think, you know, I've spoken to Martin in the past. He's a good guy, and you know, always up for new ideas.
In terms of James, I've heard reports that potentially Cal might be getting medically cleared, and we all hope that that is the case. Do you feel that you owe him the James fight, and James seems to kind of want it as well, just to kind of, you know, cross the T's and dot the I's there?
Yeah, I mean, it's not confirmed yet, but I believe there's some good news at the end of the road there for Cal, and you know, it's been an awful time for him. I think he handled it very graciously. I think he spoke to James as well. He felt sorry for James, which I thought was very noble of him, and you know, I think that's a great fight. I think, you know, I'd hope to see that in the future.
How far away is James from a title shot?
You know, I think you just got to remember, the guy's like 22. I think we feel like he's been on the landscape for a while now. He's obviously delivering. I think, you know, I'd like to see him develop into the fighter he could be, whether that's in 6 months' time or in a couple of years' time. Let's see. But I mean, you know, you'd have to say on tonight and his past performances, he's on the road to a title shot, and it'd be nice to do one in Dublin, wouldn't it?
How far away is he from fighting on American TV?
On what, sorry?
On American TV.
Well, he's already fought on American TV. I mean, he's already fought in Madison Square Gardens on American TV when he fought over there and did a great job. So he does well on American TV anyway. And you know, this fight was available on the app over there as well. So I'm sure they'll see him, and he has that thing, James. You know, people like to watch him. So.
Yeah, what was you know, Conor McGregor was here tonight, and obviously, maybe look last time, or time before, he was a big incident when he jumped the cage and stuff, and it was almost another incident tonight. So, was there precautions taken with McGregor here and with him standing cage height this year on his team?
Well, look, yeah, it's great to see him here. I mean, I think he brings a lot of energy. The fans, obviously, you know, really like him. He's a huge star for MMA, and he brought some energy coming into the arena. I think the last time, I think it was the only time he was in the cage that year, was in the Bellator cage, which was quite good fun. But this year, or this time, Peter and James jumped out the cage to greet him. So I think it was just a slightly different choreographed thing for them. But no, we took precautions. Obviously, I think you saw around there was plenty of security both for him and for you know, the fans as well.
And very quickly, just on Soren Bak, who's going to be fighting in London. I understand he had an offer from the UFC to fight in Denmark this weekend, and he ended up signing for Bellator. What does that say about what you guys are doing over here, building the brand for Bellator in Europe and offering an alternative route to world-class MMA for fighters in this part of the world?
Well, Scott's always put it out there. If anyone's coming up for end of contract, come and have a word with us. I think you've seen the big names, obviously Masasi, Chida. Their fight tomorrow night. They came across from UFC contracts, and you know, that's on one side of the spectrum. And then you look at someone like Soren, who's got his future in front of him, and you know, he made a conscious decision to come to Bellator, which I think just, you know, legitimizes where we are and what can happen. And I think you can see both sides of the spectrum there.
David, James has said that he's not going to fight in Dublin again next year or in the coming years. We talked about it a little bit, but can you shed any more light on what the story is with that?
Well, I can't shed light on what's going on in Jimmy's head, but you know, I'd love to see him fighting lots of people. But you know, I'd like to think we'll see him back here.
And you've committed to this February and September thing for 2020 as well?
Look, I think we'll, as I said, I think keep your diaries free in February. It's nice to be back here, and I think there's a nice, you know, a nice consistency. We were here in February, we came back in September, and I'd like to see us here at the beginning of the new year.
Scott Coker has said that they're going to bring Fedor to a number of countries that he hasn't been before. Is Dublin potentially on that list?
Well, I think he's certainly got a good welcome here. I mean, yeah, we've got Fedor for 3 fights, which was kind of like a farewell tour. I think it's obviously not cemented where he's going to be, but you know, I was speaking to people like Dan Magliola here. He just could not believe it. I mean, all the refs are out there taking pictures with their cameras. I mean, they just could not believe the atmosphere tonight. So I think it's a great venue for anybody, Fedor included. Thanks, guys. See you next time.